kiddo. I'm Grandma Goodie.
And I'm recording this on Father's Day. Do you have a daddy? If you do, you be sure to honor your father today and do something special. Maybe make him a card or something. But did you know many kiddos today don't have a daddy? Now this story is for you if you do have a daddy here on earth, or if you don't have a daddy here on earth, because we all have a daddy in heaven, and your daddy in heaven loves you very much, no matter what. And remember this too, in stories like Cinderella or The Lion King, those kiddos started out without having a daddy, or their daddy had died, and they had a happy ending, even though they started out without a daddy. So let's listen to our Bible story now.
Hi, kiddo. I'm Grandma Goodie. I'm here to tell you a Bible story. And Bo's here to get a treat. There you go, Bo. You can have your treat. This story is a made-up story that Jesus told to some of the people that he was teaching. And you know, just this week I was talking to a little girl, and she looked up into my eyes and she said, I don't have a daddy. And I told her, I don't have a daddy either here on earth, but we have a daddy in heaven who loves us very much. And that's what this story's about. So anyway, Jesus is talking to a crowd of people. And in that people, there's some people who are known for being naughty. And then there's some other people in the same room who are all proud of being do-gooders. And they looked down on the people who were known for being naughty. And they looked down on Jesus for even talking to him. So Jesus told him this story. He said, there was a man who had 2 sons. And they all worked on the farm. Now, back in the day, if you were growing up, you and your daddy had a farm, you'd work on it until you got grown up. And when your daddy died, he would leave you all his wealth, and then it'd be divided up amongst the children. Well, one day the younger son comes to his daddy. He said, Daddy, I want you to give me what's coming to me early. I want it now. And so that was very unusual. And he said, okay. And so he reached over to where he hid all his savings. And for me, that would be right in here. And he pulled it out and he divided it up. And he took it and he said, okay, son, here's what I've been saving for you. No, this is for the younger son, Bo. It's not for you. And so he handed it off and he gave it to the younger son. Just a few days later, that young man came and he packed up all his belongings and he tucked away all of his money and he took off. He left home and went far away to a distant country. And when he got there, he did naughty things he knew that God and his daddy would not approve of. And you know what he did? He wasted all his money. He just threw it away on wild living. And you know what? Pretty soon it was all gone. And he had no money. And he had nothing to eat. And so he got hungry. And he went off and he found a man who was a farmer there. And he said, could you please give me a job? I need to work to earn some money so I can eat. And so the man gave him a job. But the job was the lowest job there was. It was feeding the pigs. Now, I don't know if you've been around pigs much, but this pig's very cute. But a real pig, when they're eating, they're pretty messy. And when I was coming up, we called it slopping the pigs, because you get a pail. Now, it wasn't pretty like the pail I have here, but you get a pail and you put all the yucky stuff in it, all the peelings and all the garbage, and then they just go and throw it in, and the pigs go, and they just go into the mud and they eat all that yucky stuff. So that was his job. Well, he was so hungry, and he's feeding the pigs, but nobody gave him nothing to eat, and he was starving. He got so hungry, he started to look at that pig, and he started being jealous of that pig. He wanted to take that pig's slop and eat that. And then he thought, what am I thinking? I'll just go back to my daddy And I'll say to him, Father, I have sinned against God and against you. I'm not even fit to be called your son, but would you hire me to be one of your hired servants? Because he knew then he'd be fed. And he left the pigs behind him, and he left the slop bucket behind him, and he started walking toward home. What do you think's going to happen? He was worried because he knew he'd done wrong, and he was ashamed. And so he's heading home, and his head's probably hanging pretty low. But Jesus told the people when he was still a long way off, his father, he was looking for him. And he saw him, and he said, oh, and he started running, and he had his arms open wide, and he went and he found his son, and he threw his arms around him, and he hugged him, and he kissed him, and he loved on him. The boy started his little speech. He says, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am not fit to be called your son. But the father, he wasn't hearing none of it. He said, quick, one of my servants. Where's my servants? Quick, throw me a robe. I need the best robe. Oh, yes, that's a beautiful robe, and it's for my son. Okay, great. We're going to put that around his shoulders. So he put it around his son's shoulders. And then he saw that he was barefoot. And he says, oh, somebody give me some sandals. Oh, look, we're going to put some nice sandals on his feet. And then he said, I'm going to put a ring on his finger. And so he put a great big old ring on his finger. And that showed him he's part of the family and he's honored. And then he said, let's have a party to celebrate. And so the party began. Whee! Look at there, let's have a party. My son was lost and now he's found. My son was like he was dead and now he's alive again. And so they all started having a party. And they're dancing and there's music and there's lots of fun noise and everybody started coming from the fields because they all started hearing the news. Well, the older brother, he came in from the field and he said, what's all this noise? I've been out there working hard all day and you're slacking off and having a party. What is going on here? And the servant said, your brother come home and your father run out to meet him. And he said, let's have a party. And he said, let's kill that calf we've been fattening up and have a barbecue. And so we're having a big party and we're having a barbecue and we're celebrating that your brother come home. Well, the older brother got angry and he said, well, my daddy never gave me a party like that. And he was angry. He wasn't going to go. He said, I'm not going to the party. And so the father comes out to him. And the father looked at him and he said, now, my son, I love you. You've always been with me and everything that I have is yours. But I love you and I love your brother. And he was like he was lost and now he's come home. It was like he was dead and now he's alive again. And so I'm going to celebrate because I'm a daddy who loves all my children. And that's where Jesus left off the story. Let me show you where you can find that for yourself in your own little Bible. You're going to look in the New Testament, and the book is Luke, and the chapter number is 15, and the verses are 11 through 31. And if you're using the secret code, you're looking for LUK 15 11, that's 1 through 31. And you remember, whether or not you have a daddy here on earth, we all have a daddy in heaven who loves us. And you remember, Grandma Goodie loves you, but God loves you more.